Bricks and Minifigures fucked up. Hello, it's me, Mayo Hosko, and today I want to talk about the Bricks and Minifigures scandal with Reckless Ben and Brian Mansell and Crystal Gorman. So if you have been watching my live streams on YouTube, you know that I've covered the news as it's come out. And if you have been on the internet in the past 2 months or so, you know that it is the scandal that has rocked the internet within the LEGO community, and it has been broadly expanded, mainstreamed by some of the local news outlets around the United States of America, also spread on the internet by social media commentators and the internet lawyers. So once upon a time, it was a scandal that was in small pockets of the LEGO community by the tens of thousands, but now it is broadened to tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people. And it is a scandal that the LEGO community has not seen the scale of pretty much since the internet started, because LEGO people have been on the internet since residential addresses first got dial-up back in 1997, and our community has never seen a scandal like this. And there has been tons of coverage by tons of people, and a lot of people are highly interested. A lot of people have the mob mentality, and I want to talk about that right now. So people watching this video that have already been keeping up with everything that's happened in the scandal knows majority of this information. But for just a quick overview for those who may not know everything, just very briefly, the reason why everyone's mad is that Bricks and Minifigures has the LEGO Star Wars collection, which was originally valued at around $200,000, but after other people stepped in, they crunched those numbers closer to around $100,000, and even that number is up for debate. But there was this guy called Brian Mansell, who was the custodian of his father's Star Wars collection, who put out the sale of those sets for consignment to Crystal Gorman, who was one of the franchisees at Bricks and Minifigures. They wanted out, so they sold their franchise to other people, and they got into the dispute with the consignment agreement, because even though Bricks and Minifigures corporate didn't want consignments, they established a consignment, which is all where this whole drama stems from. So there was a whole bunch of controversy with those parties, Bricks and Minifigures corporate, and then there was all sorts of lawsuits going on because Reckless Ben stepped in and wanted to fight on behalf of the Mansells to get their collection back. And so Reckless Ben did his investigative journalism and ran into trouble with the law, ran into trouble with Bricks and Minifigures. They exchanged court cases, and then the American Fork Police Department got involved because of Bricks and Minifigures' connection to the police and the Mormon church and all of that jazz. So there was a whole bunch of corruption and evidence of corruption based upon that, like how it was thrown around that there wasn't a U-Haul truck that was called in to haul away sets out of one of the Bricks and Minifigures locations, but there's evidence that CoffeeZilla broadcasted to the world that shows, yes, there was a U-Haul. So there's a whole bunch of lies and misinformation that has been spread by different parties on the internet, and blah, 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 blah. And so there was changes of ownership of those franchises, which caused a whole mess of trouble. And throughout all this, the PR team of Bricks and Minifigures has been terrible. Their lawyers thought the scandal was going to blow over in a couple days, and foolishly, their lawyers let them go on a couple of brickheads, who is a LEGO live stream within the LEGO community, which blew the door wide open, and ACOB got into contact with Reckless Ben himself. They were doing live streams together. they were getting the affected parties to answer some of their questions. That's when the normies started getting involved, and then when the social media commentators like Penguin Zero and Otozi and more Pegasus started talking about it, that's when the internet lawyers like Coffeezilla and Legal Mindset and various others got involved as well. I'm sure you guys in the comments can name a whole bunch of names that I didn't just mention. But yeah, there were disagreements about the value of what the collection is worth. Bricks and Minifigures were arguing that some sets hadn't been sold when they were. They were cross-referencing some of the set numbers for the sets. M&R Productions, who's one of the most prominent content creators in the LEGO community, claims that he bought some of the sets from that collection, which got him involved into the saga as well. It was all just very, very messy, and then a GoFundMe was established so that could try get the value of the collection back to the Mansell's, but that got wrapped up in the court case. And while Reckless Ben was trying to release more videos about more information, he got a gag order put upon them, which made a lot of people angry, and therefore the GoFundMe was taken down. Then it was put to back up again. Bricks and Minifigures went to Patreon to try to get Reckless Ben's Patreon shut down, but the CEO of Patreon essentially laughed in their face and rejected that. So you can still pledge to Reckless Ben on Patreon, and so therefore that $500,000 they raised in the GoFundMe was up for dispute, and there was some people fearing that that was gonna be sent to Bricks and Minifigures if they had won more court cases. Fortunately, that didn't happen, because the information within the past couple days is that they are no longer having a court case on the 30th of June. This video was originally supposed to be uploaded yesterday in preparation for the events that would have unfolded in that, but Reckless Ben and Bricks and Minifigures decided to take that out of court and have it settled via a mediation. Reckless Ben is still going to court on the 1st of July because he has some personal conduct charges that were put upon him. And so there's all sorts of different sides of the argument, pointing the finger at all different parties, because I don't think any party is squeaky clean. They've all done a little bit of bad stuff. Some have done way more bad stuff than others. And so it's been a very messy situation. There was RICO charges that were involved. There was restraining orders that were involved. There was ties that was leaked out there of Crystal being associated with Antifa. That got a little bit messy. Some people were saying that was irrelevant to the scandal. Other people wanted to dig deeper because they have their own feelings about Antifa. So that was kind of a side aspect to the whole scandal. And basically no one likes Bricks and Minifigures now. Their reputation has gone through the tank. Their lawyers did a bad job advising them. They are in a PR nightmare, and they've totally wrecked their business. Reckless Ben essentially wrecked them. And I don't know anyone with a good conscience that actually supports what Bricks and Minifigures have done because of everyone who has been victimized within the whole ordeal. So just a very messy situation, and it's just to the point where a lot of people want the scandal to be over, and that's where I think now that they have decided to settle stuff out of courts, we are closer to the end than what we would have been if that June 30 court date had gone into place. And here's where I get into some nuance and my opinions about some things. So first of all, something that the LEGO community does not realise about the tens of millions, if not the hundreds of millions of normies, is that they don't have the same interests as us. And what the normies might not know is some of the complexions within the Lego community. Because while a lot of people in the Lego community want Brian to get his collection back, a lot of the normies might more care about the justice of the system. And so one side of the argument might be more interested in the judicial process, and others might be more interested in the end result. And so when you get the mob mentality of people demanding answers to their questions, you have to understand where people covering the situation are coming from. People within the community are operating with their knowledge, and the normies are operating with their knowledge. A lot of the content creators that have spread the information about the scandal don't necessarily have the same information and aren't coming from the same perspective. So you have to watch content creators and listen to opinions from both the normies and the Lego community to fully grasp the totality of complex opinions. So when you get people from opposite sides of the coin going to the other side of the coin and saying, you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know this, you don't know that, well, that might literally be the case because they're from two different perspectives. And so people have to understand that what's in the best interest of the Lego community might be in the different interests of what the normies care about, because there's a natural divide in there. And I'd like you guys to let me know in the comments down below if you are already in the Lego community or if you got interested in this scandal from outside of the community. Let me know in the comments down below. I'd like to hear. And because from those different debates of perspective, there's been some opinions that have gone out there. One is people are conflicted about whether they want to support their local Bricks and Minifigures store. There's the argument that you don't want to punish the franchisees, but there's also the argument that you want to punish the corporation. So there are plenty of people out there who have no trouble with the local franchisee of their local store, and other people who see the franchise fees that the franchisees have to pay into corporate and say they don't want any of their money to go to corporate. If you're within the Lego community, there's a lot of parallels between what happened with Bricklink banning 35 countries. And I've heard good arguments either way. You don't want to punish innocent people, but you want to punish the bad people. And probably a opinion that I heard, which changed my mind, is that if franchisees of Bricks and Minifigures start seeing declined profits, they will be more likely to want to speak out and seek answers from Bricks and Minifigures to get changes within the system if they haven't already got out of their contracts and gone independent instead. And something that more people can agree upon regarding some of those vigilantes that have gone inside of Bricks and Minifigures stores and try to start fights and try to argue with people is that you're arguing and fighting with the wrong person. The franchisees didn't do the situation wrong. It was the corporations who did the situation wrong. So if you want to take out your anger on people, you want to take out your anger on the corporation, not the individual franchisees, except for Josh Johnson, who was, in my opinion, rightfully fired as a former franchisee, who was the one who refused the court summons from Reckless Ben, and to the point where Ben had to get the police to go to Josh Johnson to confirm to him that it was a legitimate case, because Josh Johnson was like, no, I'm refusing this. No, because he was probably in bed with some other people because of all the corruption people have been talking about between Bricks and Minifigures, the American Folk Police, and the Mormon Church and all that other stuff. Again, very messy situation. Because a better resolution to make your voice be heard if you're one of the local people within American Folk or some of the affected areas in Utah is what people did, which is go to that town hall and make their voice be heard, because someone will have to let me know where there was a town hall that involved some politicians and the police, but people went there and turned that event into voicing their concerns about the whole scandal. Again, that's the power of the people. The people had their voice heard. The people deserve to have their voice heard, like how all of us on the internet have been expressing our opinions. So people power should triumph the corruption, and it's the people power, in my opinion, that has drawn in all of these entities outside of Utah, which is why the court case is now being transitioned from the Utah courts to the federal court, so that federal law of the United States of America applies to the whole scandal, and hopefully that gets rid of some of the sliminess within the state of the system in Utah. And just doing a little bit of my own communication, I have talked with people in the Mormon church, and I have talked to people in Utah who are absolutely outraged about all the stuff that has gone on in their home state, in their home community, and they're of the opinion those are the bad eggs. They do not represent the people of Utah. They do not represent communities in Utah. They don't represent the Mormon church. They are the worst of the worst. They are the bad apples, and they have actively tried to disassociate themselves with them. I've even seen bricklink sellers ban Bricks and Minifigures from buying from their store because they do not support the actions of Bricks and Minifigures and the system within Utah that has let this situation get so bad. So at the end of the day, I hope all the affected parties can get their affairs in order. I don't think Bricks and Minifigures will ever be the same ever again. I think they are damaged goods as a company, and I don't think they'll ever have the same positivity that people might once had for them. So let me know what you think about all of the scandal in the comments down below. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Hopefully Reckless Ben's court case regarding his personal conduct goes well for him on the 1st of July, which will be tomorrow at the time of uploading this video. Hope nothing more troublesome happens for him there, because I'm wishing him nothing but the best in his investigative journalism. So that's been my thoughts and opinions about the Bricks and Minifigures scandal so far. I'll see you on my next live stream, and I will be doing more live streams while building Lego sets, where we'll continue to cover the Bricks and Minifigures scandal whenever there's more developments. So I'll see you on my next live stream, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a like on this video. You can invest in me by pledging to me on Patreon, find me on social media on Instagram, Discord, Facebook, Twitter X, Twitch, Pinterest, and much, much more. The music in this video is not owned by me and is licensed by these people. Anytime I am not solely in this video, it is a part of a collaboration. Check out this playlist on the screen right now. YouTube thinks you might enjoy this video that I uploaded, and this is my recent upload. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Hope you enjoy watching YouTube, and I hope to see you back in my next piece of content.